Hey everybody, it is Matty here with Altcoin Buzz with you on this Monday. Hope you're having a very nice one so far. Today, first and foremost, we want to remind you that you can now sign up for the official altcoinbuzz.io newsletter. It comes out weekly and it allows you to stay abreast with all the important stuff that we're covering on our website as well as everything else that is happening in the space. You can subscribe by signing up to this dialog box that is on our website, altcoinbuzz.io. Today we're also talking about all kinds of fallout that has followed subsequent to Steve Mnuchin's comments, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, who said that basically criminals use Bitcoin to launder money to do nefarious things on the dark web. Well, there's a pretty comprehensive study that came out by Messari that says that fiat money outpaces Bitcoin 800 to 1 for money laundering. That's according to an official report. CCN is covering that. Bakkt has begun launching its beta today, July 22nd, and analysts expect it could be huge. There are a few reasons as to why. BitMEX is in the news on altcoinbuzz.io. It seems to be in trouble again. We'll give you Lisia's take on that. Bloomberg is also covering the topic. And then you have major interesting demographic observations in terms of web searches for Facebook Libra, which is huge in China. We'll bring you news about that from Coindesk.com. And there's also a Bitcoin scam happening courtesy of the Times of India. They're telling us about it. So Gujarat CID seizes properties worth Rs 38 crore in yet another Bitcoin scam. Let's begin, however, with a snapshot of the market on CoinGecko.com. We're at a total market cap of $287 billion, down about 1% or so. Bitcoin down 0.4%, sitting at $10,561 at the time of this recording. Things more or less flat, either that or marginally down right now. Okay, and this response piece to me is really interesting because, of course, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin came out and basically falsely suggested in defense of the U.S. dollar that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general are used more prevalently, in fact, most prevalently for things like money laundering and for illicit, illegal activities by criminals. Well, Messari has come out following those comments, and they've done some very specific, very quantitative research. Again, Steve Mnuchin's overriding goal was to, quote, protect the integrity of our financial system. And in the context of growing interest in digital assets like Bitcoin and Libra, Messari decided to take a closer look at how Bitcoin fits in the global landscape. Well, guess what? For each dollar in Bitcoin spent on the darknet, at least $800 is laundered. CCN is reporting on this incredible finding. Fiat money outpaces Bitcoin 800 to 1 for money laundering. That's according to a new report. Here's the graphic itself, which you can see is very suggestive. So data from Chain Analysis and the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime revealed that traditional fiat money is used 800 times more than Bitcoin to launder money on the darknet. The results don't take into account estimates of money laundering through conventional markets either, so the metric may actually even be higher. Steve Mnuchin, again the U.S. Treasury Secretary, said, quote, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin have been exploited to support billions of dollars of illicit activity like cybercrime, tax evasion, extortion, ransomware, illicit drugs, and human trafficking. Many players have attempted to use cryptocurrencies to fund their malignant behavior. This is indeed a national security issue. So while he's not 100% wrong in that characterization, I think that's a very biased slant. And by that same logic, the US dollar, of course, is an even greater national security issue. As we've been discussing, Messari took it upon themselves to research this in more granular detail, and they've basically reaffirmed what Europol had already concluded in a report titled, Why is Cash Still King? So in this report, Europol explains that practically all criminals use traditional money in their operations, and that Bitcoin and cryptos in general are not very popular among criminals. Again, according to the report, quote, although not all use of cash is criminal, all criminals use cash at some stage in the money laundering process. While the world is looking with concern at the possible misuse of virtual currencies by criminals, this report may seem somewhat unusual in that it is not highlighting a new phenomenon or an emerging risk. Money laundering schemes detected by law enforcement are still largely characterized by traditional techniques, in particular, the use of cash. No surprise there. Here's, however, what I did find a little bit surprising, because the report also reveals how Bitcoin is considered more stable than fiat money. In the last decade, the Fed increased currency supply by 13,664% more than Bitcoin did. I think with a finer view and a finer perspective, a more narrow one that is, of course, there's a lot of volatility that you can speak to in the world of cryptocurrency, but over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years, of course, there's a different perspective that emerges. Here now on CoinGate.com, we're talking about Bakkt, which has begun its beta launch today on July 22nd, and analysts expect it could be huge. There are a few reasons as to why. According to ICE's CEO and chairman Jeff Sprecher, ICE investment in Bakkt is, quote, a bit of a moonshot bet, which is a term used by former American President John F. Kennedy, referring to Neil Armstrong's landing on the lunar surface. So the blog announcing Bakkt's beta launch on July 22nd states that on July 22nd, just 2 days after Apollo 11's 50th anniversary, Bakkt will initiate user acceptance testing for its Bitcoin futures listed and traded at ICE Futures US and cleared at ICE Clear US. Institutions are largely why so many people are gung-ho about Bakkt, because it really spells out quite a high ceiling of potential institutionally speaking. You have individuals like at Fundstrat Quant Sam Doctor that said, we think Bakkt could be a huge catalyst for institutional participation in the crypto market. Here are our takeaways from the Bakkt Institutional Summit yesterday at the New York Stock Exchange. And just a few of those takeaways are the following. Bakkt's launch is expected late in the current quarter following the test launch on the 22nd of July today. CFTC Commissioner Don Stump discussed the CFTC's derivatives, regulatory, and enforcement duty. The CFTC is seeing growing demand and interest for Bitcoin futures from the public. Commissioner Stump also discussed that while standard setting at the G7 meeting is important, understanding the thinking and risk appetite of other regulators is more important. Ari Paul, CIO of Block Tower, believes that retail adoption will be enormous once a killer app or UI makes crypto on-ramps safe. And he also thinks institutions should not dismiss crypto too easily. Just a sampling of some of the reasons that Bakkt could be massive for the space by way of institutional on-ramps and options. Back now to altcoinbuzz.io. BitMEX is in the news and they seem to be in trouble again. Article here courtesy of Alicia. BitMEX, she writes, is a kid which does not seem to be all right. New data suggests that a substantial outflow of Bitcoin has occurred on the platform. So BitMEX is experiencing hardship. Recently, the CFTC has purportedly begun scrutinizing its activity. The regulators are concerned about its usage in the US as the exchange is not officially allowed in the country. Following the disclosure, BitMEX began losing a substantial amount of funds. According to Token Analyst, the London-based blockchain data provider, the outflow of Bitcoin on BitMEX constituted as much as $83 million. However, the inflow barely reached $12 million. So that's a big discrepancy, and more so since respective numbers for Binance, for example, are drastically different, 54 and 58 million respectively. So as you can imagine, the crypto community was quick to react. Some believe that this development is a sign of panic. For example, Su Shu, who wrote, Bitcoin is panic leaving from BitMEX, 73 million net in 24 hours, $73 million, that is. However, you have some other people like at Whale Panda who stated that this is not a panic leaving. Well, why is that the case? Because BitMEX has a lot of Bitcoin on its platform. Hence, quote, it's more of a reminder for people who don't actively trade their entire stash to withdraw at least some of, or if not all of it. BitMEX remains a controversial exchange. To be frank, BitMEX has always enjoyed a dubious reputation. Thus, the fact that it is subject to doubt and investigation, writes Alicia, is hardly a surprise. You guys can read more about BitMEX drama as it's being covered here on Bloomberg.com. U.S. regulator probing crypto exchange BitMEX over client trades. And last piece that we'll really dive into today is from Coindesk.com. Web search data indicates soaring interest for Facebook Libra, but that's out of China. So with Facebook's recently unveiled Libra cryptocurrency high in the news agenda across the world in recent weeks, China has emerged as a perhaps surprising leader when it comes to public interest in the project. So the top two hottest search trends in China address a Chinese film celebrity's jealous children and the first movement of Leonardo da Vinci's iconic Mona Lisa painting outside the Louvre since 2005. But Libra searches are currently ranking number 3 behind those other two, and actually we're also in second place previously. So Google's data on people looking for information on, quote, Facebook Libra, which peaked around the time of Facebook's June 18th white paper launch, actually indicates that China is the number one ranked nation for that search term. And surprisingly as well, the US is down at number 14, all the way down at 14th, if you can believe it, on that list. So Google is officially blocked in China, but enough people appear to be sidestepping that block to register significant searches for Facebook's token. It's also noteworthy that even though Libra may not see launch in the public for at least a year or more, plenty of people are searching for, quote, Facebook Libra price, with Pakistan, Singapore, and South Africa registering most searches for that term. So overall, though, interest in Facebook's token pales into insignificance when compared to Bitcoin, which, when compared on Google Trends, appears an almost flat blue line dominated by the massive interest in the top cryptocurrency by market value. Let us know if you're a Chinese member of the altcoin buzz army and if and why the Facebook Libra project interests you. And finally today, courtesy of the Times of India, we won't get into this, but if you want to read about the latest Bitcoin scam, you can do so. We'll link to this in our description below. However, that about rounds it out for the news today, everybody. Do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and all the others. Do be sure to check back into our website, altcoinbuzz.io, where you can now register for that weekly newsletter. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to receive notifications if you've enjoyed this video. Best of luck if you choose to invest on this Monday, you members of the Altcoin Buzz Army, but I'm wishing you a great start to your week, and as always, we hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.